I'm certain you're familiar with the old phrase that says you learn via your mistakes. And every one of us can look into our past. Sometimes it's not a very deep past, but we can say, yeah, I've made plenty of blunders or miscalculations. And hopefully because of those, I've learned some good life lessons. Well, when you are engaging with a narcissist, particularly over a long period of time, there are plenty of opportunities for mistakes and misappropriated emotions to come through. And I'm hoping that as you engage with the narcissist and you have all of these errant ways of being, that you can ask, well, what are the life lessons that I can learn from this? Well, today I want to kind of point out 10 different common elements that tend to be there between you and a narcissist. And then as we can identify these, I want to see if we can identify the life lesson that you can gain from that. And in its own strange way, you can say, well, maybe because of my exposure to a troubled person, I can actually be a better individual because I can learn some good skills that I might not otherwise have learned. So this is kind of our way of trying to say, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Let's see if we can try to make lemonade out of some of that sour kind of feeling that you can have when you're dealing with a narcissist. So let's get right to it. One of the common things that we see when you are engaging with narcissists is each side of the equation. You and that narcissist can become engaged in expressing very strong opinions. That person can be very controlling and overbearing and overly opinionated and judgmental, and then you can come right back with yours. And as we look at the expression and the superimposing of strong opinions, it actually reveals a type of weakness. You know, why do you have to try to force somebody into your mold? Well, the implication is, I'm afraid that you're not going to give me any kind of credibility. I'm afraid you won't take me seriously. So one of the things that the lessons that we can draw from that is, rather than being an overwhelmingly opinionated individual, be modest in the way that you speak. Have your opinions, hold on to your principles, but also be an open-minded individual. Narcissists are not open-minded, and then unfortunately sometimes you can respond in kind. The life lesson is, be modest and open-minded in the way that you engage in your conversations with others. Doesn't mean that you lack firmness, it just means that you lack an overwhelming style. Or a second common theme that we have when a person is engaging with a narcissist, and that is, you can be at a point of subjugating your own personal needs unnecessarily, and in doing so, you find that you lose yourself. The narcissist is so dogmatic many times at how you're supposed to think and feel and prioritize, and if you have a history of thinking, okay, I'll just do whatever I have to do to get that person on my back, you're lost in the process. The life lesson that we want to gain from that is, let's just say this, I'm not very good at being somebody that I'm not. So when you're engaging with the narcissist or anyone else, it becomes your task to say, I want to think and act on behalf of my true self. And that implies that you thought about what your true self is, rather than living according to the false agenda that the narcissist might have for you. Think and act on behalf of your true self. A third pattern that we have is that many times when you're engaging with the narcissist, there's a lot of guilt motivation that's there. The narcissist wants to put shame on you, and they want to guilt you into whatever it is they've got for you in that moment. No one is going to be satisfied when you live a life based on guilt motivation. The one offering the guilt thinks, well, I don't really know if I can trust what you're doing because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. The one receiving the guilt is thinking, well, I'm doing things only out of duty alone. And so that's not a good way to live. So the life lesson that we want to gain out of that is, act based on your common sense, which is based on your free will. Understand that life is a series of choices, and do things that you do because you choose to do it, not because you've been guilted. Obligation and duty is not nearly as good of a motivation as free choice. And what do you freely want to do with your life? Can you think like that? A fourth pattern that we have when engaging with a narcissist is let's say that the narcissist, with all of their control, is not really a happy person. They don't have true joy. And then, of course, when you're on the receiving end of that control, you don't have true happiness. Those individuals are driven more by anger and more by agitation and impatience than by happiness. And so the life lesson we're going to have is it's not your job to make that other person happy. When you go into an appeasement mode, when you go into an argumentative mode, you're trying to argue or in some way or another act in such a way that that person is going to have more of a peace. Doesn't work. So don't make it your duty to keep another person appeased. Again, go back and live according to your own separate initiatives. A fifth pattern that we often have in engaging with a narcissist, and that is they want love and loyalty and commitment to develop pronto, real quickly. And so they demand that kind of loyalty and all that goes along with it in such a way where you don't really have a chance for it to develop. So the life lesson there is love and loyalty and commitment require time to unfold. And so make sure that you live in your relationships with patience leading the way. You don't have to feel like you have to hurry up to the finish line or you have to hurry up and make the relationship be something that ultimately it's not. Let patience, not a requirement, be the thing that guides you in the way that you engage with other individuals. A sixth pattern that's very common, and you're going to really see this very easily. Harsh and constant criticism can be a part of your interaction with that narcissist. They often have that highly critical, virtually always, have that highly critical attitude toward you. And then, frankly, you wind up going back into a counter-criticism mode towards them. And so knowing that produces nothing that's rewarding for either side of you, the life lesson we're going to draw there is look for opportunities to be an encourager. And if you're not able to engage in an encouraging fashion with that narcissistic individual, make sure you have people that you can engage that way with. Don't let yourself get stuck in that negativity that goes along with a critical spirit. A seventh common pattern is when a person has to be super special, and the narcissist has a very high level of entitlement. You need to see me as being above everybody else. It reveals an empty soul. Why do you have to have so much of that grandiosity and that special treatment and everybody bowing and kowtowing to you? That's not necessary, but that's the way the narcissist thinks and interacts. So the life lesson we're going to have from that is you find your specialness by helping other people feel special. I call that the significance paradox. The way I feel significant is I help you find your significance. Narcissists don't think like that, but knowing that, let's turn it into a life lesson that's going to work well. An eighth common pattern that we have. When you argue with narcissists, reason tends not to be a part of that equation. In fact, they can be highly unreasonable, and it brings out the worst in everyone. So, the life lesson we're going to gain from that is when there are disagreements, that becomes an opportunity to know each other in a fuller way, and you can still set stipulations. You can learn from one another. You can also have boundaries, but you can do so in a fashion that doesn't have to be an unreasonable kind of thing. It actually is possible to have anger and frustration and hurt and sanity at the same time. You can be sane. You can be respectful even as you maintain that. Make that your life goal, even though the narcissist is probably not going to be able to join you at that place. A ninth common pattern that we have, and that is when you're engaging with a narcissist, they don't really understand the nature of intimacy, and they want to have closeness, I guess we could say, in the sense that they want you to be real tight with them and do what they want, but it's not intimacy. The life lesson that we want to gain out of that is building bridges to another person's heart is something that's both desirable and it requires time, but it also requires authenticity. When a narcissist wants to be tight with you or close with you, particularly if it's in a friendship or a romantic relationship or even at work, and they want you to be their ally, they're posturing in kind of a manipulative kind of way. Whereas I'm hoping that your understanding of friendship and love and loyalty is going to be more of a heart kind of an issue. Make sure that that's something that you prioritize in your own personal life. People are more than just tools to be used. And then finally, we can say that when an individual like the narcissist has that attitude of entitlement, they're actually operating on a pecking order. And they want to be at the top of the pecking order. And then that, of course, leaves you figuring out, well, where am I supposed to be on the pecking order? And you wind up arguing about what that's all about. How about if we just throw out the pecking order? And the life lesson we're going to have is, when we each can treat each other as valuable and equal and somebody worthy of engaging with, then we don't have to worry about who's up and who's down like the narcissist wants to do. And so let's treat each other in an equal to equal kind of a fashion. So I know that you've been through so many of these kinds of patterns with that narcissistic individual in your life. And unfortunately, there are times when you get so sucked into the reactionary responses to them that you wind up allowing them to establish your patterns. So my goal here today is for you to just begin questioning, as I see these kinds of trends happening, am I the kind of person that can take my understanding and my observations and turn them into good life lessons that result in healthy life skills? I think that that would be a classic case of taking a negative and turning it into something where you become the mature person, even though that individual in front of you may not have any notion as to how to join you at that place. You need to establish your own place, and I hope that you want to go into a much healthier kind of direction. I do hope that you find value in videos such as this, but below the video, you're going to see that subscribe button. And as you desire, I'd like for you to hit that subscribe button so we can keep you apprised of other videos. We actually have an email list also beneath the video, and it allows you, once you join that, then it allows you to have bonus videos that we have and some articles and promotions and things of that nature. If you're at a place where you might need some online counseling, particularly if you're having a hard time finding someone that can help you, we have a link for that. And I hope that you would avail yourself there. We also have books and online workshops, and we even have coffee mugs. How about that? So just check out below the video what we have there and go with whatever would be helpful for you. Thanks for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I take my role in it very seriously, and I wish you well. That being said, I'll see you next time.